Hello! What type of sewing machine did you learn to sew on? I learned on a Treadle sewing machine when I was 10 years old. If you enjoy story time and would like to learn a little bit more, stay tuned! Hello and welcome to Killer Kitsch Lizzie, my little world where I craft and sew and do all sorts of creative things, sometimes a little weird, sometimes not. And I also keep adding to that list of things I like to make. Some of those will be coming up in future. So in today's vlog, as I said in the introduction, this is going to be a bit of storytelling, and it's about my Treadle sewing machine, which unfortunately you can't see in the video right now. My Kenmore is sitting on top of it. I use it as my sewing desk because unfortunately it is not currently working. I am hoping to rectify that at some point. Right now it's in a state of disrepair. I'm going to actually show a little video that's talking about it, so I'm going to throw that in there right now. This is my Raymond Treadle sewing machine. It was built in 1898 in a factory in southern Ontario. I'm going to do a little bit more of a history lesson shortly. And there's the information there. Raymond Manufacturing Company Limited. Look at the woodwork. It's beautiful. This baby is in need of some TLC. I learned how to sew on it, and it had beautiful knobs, wooden knobs at one point. One of these drawers over here I can't open anymore. Sorry, the dining room is a mess because I sew on top of this actually. So my sewing machine and stuff, I just moved it over to the dining room table so I could show this to you. Also, this needs a new belt. This belt is probably the original. I'm not gonna lie. It's also very dusty. I need to give this baby a good clean. So I used to be able to put it up. Something must have warped in the desk. This piece here, this would come up all the way and you could sit onto that, mount it into that, and it would stay sitting, but I don't know what's going on right now. Anyways, the paint job is fainted on it. There is a piece missing here. This piece here, it went on a walkabout, don't know where it went, so hopefully I can get somebody to 3D print that piece. Just holding on to it right now with my hand. Yeah, she's a beauty, but she needs some work. And there's like the little plate saying that is the Raymond Manufacturing Company of Guelph Limited. So I'm using my phone for the camera work for this. It was just easier than using the other camera. Yeah, she just needs work. I learned how to sew on this baby, and I do want to get her back to working condition again. I really, really do. She needs a good oil job. This needs to get repainted. Yeah, and I need to figure out what happened, why I can't get it to sit up. I don't want to force it right now because then it might be stuck like this, which I can't have because I use this as my sewing desk as well as with the flap open. I have nowhere to put this, so it's unfortunate. Anyways, there's a look at my Treadle. And now I will continue on with the story. Welcome back. By the way, I'm wearing a Aurora bodice from Gertie's Patreon. I have one more of these that I'm going to sew up, and then I need to move on to some other bodice. And I'm wearing the Anemone's brooch, or corsage, from Bobo Bun, and her very first Patreon project was this. So, as I said earlier on, I learned how to sew on a Treadle foot pedal sewing machine. You've just seen the video of it. There are a bunch of things that need to get fixed. I'm hoping to be able to fix those things in the near future, because I'd like to learn to sew on this again. It was a really good, not learn, but I'd like to sew on this again. It was a lot of fun to learn how to sew on it when I was 10, you know, because it's literally one stitch, it's a straight stitch, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was easy to learn. It didn't make me feel overwhelmed or scared of learning how to sew. You know, and then when you progress to like a more modern machine, there's a lot of different stitches, different feet, all of that stuff. Treadle, very basic, foot pedal. I mean, you didn't even need electricity. If like the power went out, I could still sew. Another reason I'd like to actually fix this, because it doesn't use electricity. Anyways, here's hoping. Here's hoping. So I thought I would also just give you a little history on Treadle and a little history on this particular machine. So I'm going to be looking down at notes a little bit here. I don't have any of this memorized, and I want to give you accurate information. I don't want to try to do it from the top of my head. So in the early 1850s, Isaac Singer patented the Treadle sewing machine. The sewing machine was powered using a slight rocking foot motion to move a rocker pedal up and down. The treadle is also referred to as a foot pedal. Also, I just wanted to point out, the machines are literally just wood and metal. The base of the machine itself is wrought iron and has beautiful design on it, which you would have seen in the video, or some of it at least. And the actual machine itself is all metal. It weighs a ton. And all the working parts are all metal. There's no plastic at all. And because of that, you do have to worry about rust and things like that, but it's easy to maintain with machine oil. So that's why these last for like hundreds of years. Like, as I said in the video, this machine was built in 1889. I looked it up, I found the serial number. If you lift the machine up, you can see the serial number. Unfortunately, I can no longer do that with this machine. It's part of the machine, which I showed again in the video, has seized up. So I wanted to try to fix this machine on my own, but I might need to hire somebody, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on my own. But anyway, back to the history of the machine. One of Singer's competitors was a Canadian company, well, became a Canadian company. Eventually, like in the beginning it was not. Eventually it becomes a Canadian company called the Raymond Sewing Machine Company. And it was owned by an American inventor called Charles Raymond. He invented his own version of the Treadle sewing machine in 1851, and his company ended up halting a year later in 1852 because there was a lot of legal challenges with Isaac Singer. He, you know, sued them, did everything he can to have that company shut down, and eventually it worked, and in 1852 Raymond had to shut down the American version of that company. I found two articles, or sorry, one article and one really good YouTube video. I'm going to link those below. The article is actually from more of a perspective of the Canadian version of this machine. So the problem was, like I said, Singer made it very difficult for Raymond to produce his machine. And eventually, he just had to let it go in 1852. And, you know, a few years go by. In 1857, he decides with his partner, Wilfred Nettleton, to start the company up again. And again, he's getting pressure from Singer. Even though now at this point they both have legal patents on the machine, Singer is still causing a lot of issues for Raymond and his now new partner. And they decide that they're not going to stay in the US anymore, and they move the company to Guelph, Ontario, Canada. And it actually stayed there for many years. And eventually, a company called White SM Company bought out the Raymond Company in 1916, and then the company remained until 1922 when it actually, they closed the company because at that point there was a lot more modern sewing machines coming along, including electric, and smaller and more portable, because this Treadle is not very portable. When as an example, I'm trying to do sewing videos showing a little bit of sewing on this machine, and I literally have to pull the Treadle out a couple of feet in order to set up the camera around the machine. And it is on wheels. The wheels are a little stiff, but it is on wheels, and even on wheels, it's heavy. So this isn't a machine that, well, that's not true. You'll hear about that in a minute, but it's a machine that we usually just like, you'd put it in one spot in your house and it would stay there, and you would just leave it there for however long you use the machine. But along came more portable ones. Hand cranks became very popular. Again, a non-electric machine, but the hand crank made it easier. It was lighter, and you could carry that machine around with you. And then eventually electric machines came in, and like those were all gone. Yeah, so that's a little history lesson. Again, I'll leave links below. I do recommend that you Google Treadle machines and just look at the photos. There are so many beautiful ones out there. I have come across in antique shows, or stores, not sure, well, shows too. I have come across Treadle machines that are in better state of repair than this one. And I've looked at them and I'm just like, I would love to take this home. No room. And I have actually, excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I have also come across a refurbished exact replica of this machine. And it was going for a lot of money. So they're also expensive to buy if they're in really good condition. A little history about my actual machine. It was owned by my great-grandma Brown, my mom's grandma. And she actually found it in an auction and bought it. She was really well known in her actual community for making tops of quilts. And it turned out she was the only person in the entire community that actually had a working sewing machine. And her and my great-grandpa would put this machine onto the back of a wagon, and horse and buggy style would actually go around the community to sewing bee or quilting bees, and help with having an actual machine as opposed to hand stitching that could do like the big chunks of work with her sewing machine. So she was well known in the community for that. And that went on for a really long time until I guess eventually, people found like easier ways of doing it, or, machines that anybody could afford to buy. That, well, even then it'd be expensive, but more affordable machines, smaller, lighter machines came around. So yeah, she did that for a very, very long time. And then after she passed away, my mom, the machine went to my mom. And as I said, I learned to sew on this machine when I was 10 years old. You know, I was always, my mom used to make our clothes when we were kids. And I was always intrigued by what she was doing. So I got her to teach me how to sew. And I would sew doll clothes and like purses and like little items, easy items to sew, and make it on my treadle. And then eventually it came to me. I am now the proud owner of this Raymond treadle machine from 1889. And you know, unfortunately when I got it, when it came to me, it's not in great shape. The belt has to be completely replaced because it's very brittle and frail. And as you'll see in the video that you just saw, part of the feed plate, the smooth part, is gone. I don't know where it went. This machine has been closed up for decades. I don't know how it disappeared. My mom doesn't know how it disappeared because she says it was there when she had it. I don't think it would have got lost in a move because, again, this would have been taped shut to protect it, but I'm gonna see if I can get it 3D printed, or even if I can find a piece of metal or plastic that fits in that slot. That would also help. And then I'm gonna, you know, I just have to find somebody who's selling the belts, or somebody who can create a belt for that machine, and then I could get it cleaned up and oiled up and hopefully get it working again one day, because I would love to be able to use it again. I have fond memories of it. It has a great history. It's going to be with me forever, and then I have to figure out, you know, when I am at the end of my life, who should inherit it next, because I do not want this ending up in a landfill somewhere. But yeah, no, it's it makes me happy every time I look at it, every time I walk by it, every time I pull up to it to start sewing on my Kenmore. You know, it has a lot of history. So in the comments below, let me know, have you ever used a treadle machine? Do you, until this video, know what a treadle machine was? What machine did you learn to sew on? How old were you when you learned to sew? Yeah, and if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, tell all your friends about me. All of them. And until next time, stay kitschy and have an amazing rest of the week. Bye!